A State of Trance is the title of a weekly radio show, 10 p.m. on Gaydio, 2 p.m., hosted by prominent trance producer and DJ Armin van Buuren. It is also the name of Van Buuren's annual CD compilation series. History = background and growth = first airing in March 2001 on ID&T Radio, the show takes the format of a 2-hour mix in which he plays new trance music, both promotional and commercially released. Selected tracks are announced during the show in order to help promote new artists and releases. Its radio show website combination has proven popular internationally, as fans while listening to the radio show will converse in the website chat rooms and forums, such as digitally imported, during the broadcast. Progressive trance and uplifting trance producers all submit promotional and commercially released tracks to compete to make it onto the playlist of the show each week. The success of the show has also spawned to include several dance events around the world. The show is celebrated live each year in different locations around the globe with a lineup consisting of many trance artists. Record label A State of Trance is a sub-label of the Dutch company Armada Music. Released its first vinyl release in 2003 and reached its 100th release with the Doppler effect Beauty Hides in the Deep /NVO For You. A State of Trance was formed in 2003 as a sub-label to its Dutch parent company Armada Music. It is also the parent label to A State of Trance Limited. The style of music focuses mainly on trance and progressive trance with a wide range of artists and producers. The label is focusing on both young producers as well as established artists. Radio show's legacy While it was not the first radio show to broadcast a 2-hour mix from a recurring DJ, A State of Trance's legacy has arguably extended beyond the trance scene. Part of this may be due to the fact that for most parts of the world, A State of Trance was only accessible via digitally imported, an internet radio station. Since A State of Trance has gone on the air, numerous DJs have created their own radio programs out of the spirit of A State of Trance. Some of which include, Above and Beyond with Trance Around the World, Elian Filer with the Future Sound of Egypt, and Marcus Schultz with the Global DJ Broadcast. Some radio shows that don't even play trance music have spawned out of the spirit of A State of Trance. A State of Trance special episodes and celebrating events. Special episodes of the show features various live or recorded mixes by Armin van Buuren or other guest DJs. Every 50th episode of the show there are various celebrations in different countries with many trance DJs that plays live. In March 2011 during the Ultra Music Festival, A State of Trance was given its own stage as part of its 500th episode tour. This was the first time a radio show was given its own tent at a music festival, along with its own broadcast, separate from the festival's official broadcast. Typically a festival stage is hosted by either a particular style of music, or a record label. Since Ultra 2011, A State of Trance has had its own arena at Ultra and the Electric Daisy Carnival in Las Vegas. Since ID&T's shift from trance to house music, A State of Trance's annual episodic celebrations have effectively replaced Trance Energy as the pinnacle trance event in the Netherlands. Broadcasts. A State of Trance radio show is currently broadcast on the following radio stations: worldwide digitally imported a Trance channel, Andorra, Flakes FM a 93.8 fathoms, Australia, Kiss FM 87.6 fathoms, KIK FM 91.5 and 88 fathoms, Radio Metro 105.7 fathoms, Belgium, Top Radio, Bulgaria, Alpha Radio and Radio Nova Sofia, Brazil, Jovem-Pan FM, Inaja 97.7 fathoms, Canada, XM Radio Channel 82, Z103.5, Kurila Section O, Radio 103.9, Cyprus. Mix FM 102.3 fathoms, Czech Republic, Dance Radio CZ High Quality Stream 256 kbitogg, Egypt. Null FM 104.2 fathoms Cairo every Friday at 10 p.m., El Salvador, 3, Radio ABC 100.1 fathoms Mondays at 10 p.m., Estonia, DFM 90.2 Fathoms Talena Euro every Friday at 9 p.m/every Sunday at 12 p.m. Finland, Radio NRJ on Sundays 12 a.m. to 2 a.m. ET, France, Flakes FM 92.9 Fathoms and Radio FG on Thursday 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. CET. And NRJ on Friday 2 a.m. to 4 a.m., Germany, Sunshine Live, Guatemala, Radio Saturn, 4, Monday at 7 p.m., Armin van Buuren a State of Trance, Hungary, Rise FM 98.9, India, Radio Indigo, Goa Bangalore. Radio Shinai Live 104.8 Fathoms, Israel, Click 2 Dance, Italy, M20, Lebanon, Mix FM 104.4 Fathoms, Jordan, Beat FM 102.5, Lithuania, Zip FM. Luxembourg, WAKY 107 Fathoms, Malta, 89.7 Bay Euro, Mexico, Beta Euro 100.9 Fathoms, Middle East, World Space Satellite Radio Channel 202, Netherlands, Radio 538 Euro 102 Fathoms, New Zealand, Pulsar FM Euro 105.7, Pakistan, Radio 1 FM 91, Philippines, Big Fish Radio, Poland, Radio Esca, Portugal, Kiss FM Algarve 101.2/95.8 Fathoms, Romania, Vibe FM 92.1 Fathoms, Russia, Radio Record 106.3 Fathoms, NRJA. Euro 104.2 Fathoms in Moscow, Serbia, TOP FM 106.8 Fathoms, Singapore, Radio 91.3 Fathoms, Spain, Mars Zima FM, Sri Lanka, Yes FM 89.5 Fathoms, Sweden, Fun Radio 95.3 Malmö Paragraph, Switzerland, 1 FM 107.0 Fathoms, 107.2 Fathoms, Syria, Mix FM Syria 105.7 Fathoms, Turkey, FG 93.7, Power FM 100.0, Ukraine, Kiss FM, check the website, United Arab Emirates. 105.4 Radio Spice, United Kingdom, Gaydio and online at www.gaydio.co.uk, Thursday at 10 p.m., United States, Sirius XM Satellite Radio Channel 52 Electric Area. On demand DIFM hosts each weekly A State of Trance show for their on-demand service. The show is streamed in multiple formats, 256 kbits, 128 kbits, 128 kbits and 64 kbits, 64 kbits and 32 kbits for users with the paid premium package, and free at 96 kbits, 24 kbits, 40 kbits. Digitally Imported postponed the development of its on-demand feature as of August 10, 2010. This service is therefore currently unavailable. However, they do have plans to bring it back in the future as a more substantial service. Episodes of A State of Trance are also widely recorded and redistributed in MP3 format on file hosting websites such as RapidShare, YouTube, private FTP servers and BitTorrent sites. File quality ranges from 192 kbits to 320 kbits, however, 192 kbits is the most common due to the wide availability of 192 kbits source streams as well as the relatively small file size. In September 2012, A State of Trance was made available to stream on Spotify. Tracklists for every episode can be found at the episodes section of Armin van Buuren's A State of Trance website. Regular features. Each broadcast features 3 songs selected as Tune of the Week, Future Favorite and ASOT Radio Classic. Tune of the Week The Tune of the Week is selected by Armin van Buuren as his personal choice of best new tune in the show. Here is the list of all tunes of the week. Future Favorite The Future Favorite is voted for by listeners from a list of new tunes from the previous week's show. The poll takes place at A State of Trance. ASOT Radio Classic The ASOT Radio Classic track has been part of the show since episode 284. Armin selects a track from past years of trance and briefly describes what made the track a classic. It is played as the last track of the show. Armin also played a classic track on each of the first 16 episodes in the early days of the radio show. These tracks were productions from the 1990s and showcased some of the very earliest pioneers of the trance genre. Armin asks the listeners of A State of Trance to submit original suggestions for the ASOT radio classic with the stipulation that the track not be a track already played on ASOT as a classic. The following table lists all classics played on A State of Trance from episode 284 to the present, A State of Trance official episode list. Progressive pick equals, A State of Trance also put the new segment which is all new progressive trance or hardcore trance remix playlist tracks from newest DJ around the world, whenever they are famous DJs or the upcoming DJs. This segment begins with RODG Wrong Direction on ASOT episode 717, followed by another new remixes from different DJs on every episode on A State of Trance. Compilation series. Armin van Buuren regularly releases double mix CD A State of Trance compilations, as listed below: A State of Trance 2004, A State of Trance 2005, A State of Trance 2006, A State of Trance 2007, A State of Trance 2008, A State of Trance 2009, A State of Trance 2010, A State of Trance 2011, A State of Trance 2012, A State of Trance 2013. A State of Trance 2014, A State of Trance 2015. Armin van Buuren also regularly releases double mix CD A State of Trance Year Mix compilations, A State of Trance Ibiza compilations, and 4 CD unmixed compilations of A State of Trance classics has occurred annually since 2006. These consist of unedited, full-length tracks, in either the original or most popular mix, and state that they are from uncompressed masters. Despite being called classics, the criteria for inclusion weighs heavily towards the difficulty of finding uncompressed digital copies of tracks, and as such relatively recent tracks which were vinyl only or on small record labels have featured. See also, Corson's Countdown, a similar show by Ferry Corson, Trance Around the World, an old similar show by Above and Beyond. Group Therapy Radio, the present show by Above and Beyond. Future Sound of Egypt, a similar show by Elian Filer. Global DJ Broadcast, a similar show by Marcus Schultz. References: A State of Trance Festival, the celebration of A State of Trance 700. External links: A State of Trance official site, Armin van Buuren official site, A State of Trance archive.